On this edition of Backroads of Montana, we take a spin at a unique prairie dance.
You don't find it anyplace else. That grass range has got it.
We go back in time at the Threshing Bee in Huntley.
You can read about it in the book, but until you see it running, it really doesn't mean anything to you.
We watch Montana develop through picture postcards. For these teens, there's no business like the Harlow business. At least, no business they know.
Share your tickets, enjoy the show.
Thank you. And our location today started out in the 1880s as a brick and tile factory. It's now home to ceramic artists from around the world. It's the Archie Bray Foundation in Helena. We'll show you around, and I'll try my hand at the potter's wheel, while you travel from Harlow to Huntley on the Backroads of Montana.
Backroads of Montana is made possible with production support from the Greater Montana Foundation, encouraging communication on issues, trends, and values of importance to Montanans. The Montana Office of Tourism at visitmt.com, and the University of Montana.
Home is where Montana is my home. From mountain peaks to prairie lands, the places I have known. And I'm bound to ramble, yes, I'm bound to roam. And when I'm in off the road now, boys, Montana is my home.
This is the studio complex at the Archie Bray Foundation, where up to 10 resident artists spend 1 or 2 years developing their work and learning from one another. Our first story tells of a Montana tradition that has a little bit of art and a lot of fun, the old-fashioned community dance. Folks have long gathered in Grange halls and schoolhouses in small towns across Montana. While some of those have disappeared, we found a spot where the desire to dance and socialize is alive and kicking.
Check, check. 1, 2, 3, 4.
They come from Malta, they come out of Lewistown, they come out of Billings.
I love to dance. My wife loves to dance. We just like dancing.
I love to play music. Anytime I can do it, I play music whenever I can.
If you want to have fun, go to Grass Range.
Oh, good dancing, you guys.
The monthly jam session in Grass Range is in full swing. Neighbors from far apart ranches take a break from busy lives tending the land and the livestock so they can reconnect. When the jam session will end is always a bit of a mystery. How it will end is really no mystery. In fact, it's the whole point of the event. Before this get-together, there's work to be done. Bar owner Harold Matovich is going through a notebook of old country standards for a playlist to start the jam session, while his wife Margie helps get the buffet ready to feed hungry dancers. In 2002, they came up with an idea to have a few musicians over to play. It turned into a jam session, and they haven't missed a month since.
We did not ever think it would be this big. There is no way in the world we could stop now. I mean, they would Shanghai us or something, I think.
The first hour is underway, and as always, Harold and Margie start playing to a crowded dance floor.
I'll be having a fling with a pretty young thing till early morning.
Harold's been playing music for more than half a century.
And knowing tomorrow I'll wake up with you on my mind.
I'd go to the old schoolhouse dances and I'd sit there and I'd watch the musicians and I'd go home and practice what they were doing.
We have a lot of musicians with us today. We'll try to get everybody up to play.
Harold and Margie's monthly event offers musicians a rare opportunity to play to a live audience. Amateurs get needed experience, and an old touring pro can revive a passion.
Well, I left that darn guitar under the bed for almost 4 years, and then I could hear it calling me, and I lay down. So I finally got it out and started playing with it again. We have the most wonderful people come in here. They love it as much as we do. We feed off of each other.
If the musicians started this, the dancers really brought it to life. They bring experience and energy from all directions. Gary and Diane came from the south.
We've made a lot of real good friends.
Larry and Chris drove in from the east.
It is absolutely fascinating what live music does to people.
And Bertha made a quick drive from the west. Bertha Roberts just celebrated her 90th birthday, and the fellas will be lucky to keep up with her.
Oh, just a movement, just to go in, and the music is wonderful, and the singing. I really like to dance. I just hope to gods I can keep on for a while. You know, you never know.
While Bertha cuts loose, the dancing brings back family memories. Her grandfather was Teddy Blue Abbott, a true Wild West character who knew all the locals, including Charlie Russell. Teddy loved to have a good time, and Bertha remembers the family piling into the car. They would meet dozens of other families at the local hall for a genuine community gathering.
And had a lot of fun. Just had a lot of fun, always. And my dad would sing and whistle and dance. What I think about Grass Range, it's the last thing that I can see in my lifetime now is like it used to be to these old country dances.
We're into the second hour of the jam, and the dancers aren't slowing down. The waitresses weave through the two-steppers and waltzers, even dodging the occasional stray dancer like Lucy. Larry and Chris love the Texas two-step, so this has become one social event they can't miss, even if it means driving across the muddiest road in the county.
This little 2-mile stretch out here ain't gonna keep me from a dance. I may run a wheel off or tear a leg off, and I might not get there, but otherwise I'm going to be there if I possibly can.
And you can kind of plan your way around it. I mean, the third Sunday is marked in the calendar.
Now, I have to tell you, we have an elderly lady that was here today that, honest to God, scheduled a hospitalization around our jam. It's funny. It is just a hoot. It is.
By the third hour of the jam, more musicians are swapping places as instrument cases pile up next to the bandstand. The dancers are catching up, toweling off, and refueling before grabbing a new partner to start again.
I got it!
Bertha switched over to Larry for another spin around the room.
Waltz across Texas.
Finally, by the fifth hour of the jam, the crowd starts to wane. Lucy, the dancing dog, can find a safer spot, but even her legs needed a rest, just like everyone else.
But when it comes a certain time, I have to say goodbye. I don't tell them my legs will give out.
As the last song plays, a tired but satisfied group of friends and neighbors are a reflection of what's always been important. Just as true today as it was so many years ago.
I'm lost in your charm.
Like I said, it's a big, huge dancing family, and I would not give that up for anything in the world.
And what's the harm in people getting together and hugging each other and enjoying life? Yeah, I think it's beautiful.
There are more jam sessions popping up in towns like Roundup, Lewistown, and Malta. But so far, none of them match the crowds spinning around the dance floor in Grass Range. My clay piece is spinning around the potter's wheel thanks to Archie Bray resident director Steve Lee. Welcome to the show, and thanks for getting me started.
Well, thanks for having me. Centering is a really important part of the process if you want to create a successful piece on the wheel.
Otherwise, it'll just all go to ruin.
Exactly, yeah.
The Archie Bray Foundation was founded in 1951 by Helena brickmaker Archie Bray amid the remnants of a century-old brick factory. These crumbling beehive kilns and warehouses were the starting point for millions of bricks and tiles and miles of sewer pipe that helped build Montana. The grounds are littered with shards of brick and pottery, all part of the legacy of this factory-turned-artist refuge. Just pressure?
Yeah, just apply a little bit of pressure, and if you feel it starting to get off, then just release the pressure, and then you can go back and start again. Yeah, that looks great. That's good.
Boy, it takes a lot of effort. Obviously, it takes years to develop the skills to turn clay into art. Our next stop is the Huntley Project Museum just east of Billings, not to throw clay, but to toss hay at the annual threshing bee. Imagine a prairie morning nearly a century ago. Hours earlier, workers began their day by stoking a firebox, carefully building pressure in a 1910 Rumley or a 1914 Case steam engine. By daybreak, hay wagons and neighbors gather around the massive engines. Today's chores will be too big for a single family. This requires community. Binders sweep the field, quickly reducing it to stubble. The wheat gets shocked and loaded on wagons. Heavy canvas belts are fitted between the machines, the slack backed out. As the thresher rattles into life, bundle pitchers prepare for the day's dusty work of literally separating the wheat from the chaff.
People leave and they say, oh, this is a great show, this was a great place to come to see how history was repeated. And I think that's important to pass history on down, because otherwise you can read about it in a book, but until you see it running, it really doesn't mean anything to you.
Preserving the spirit of old-time farming means plenty to the South Central Montana Antique Tractor and Machinery Association.
Well, we just call it the Antique Tractor Club.
Every summer they demonstrate a simpler, somewhat greener era, when wind power drew water from the ground and manpower transferred it into the big engines. Sometimes leftover straw provided the necessary fuel. It was an age when steam made plowing, seeding, and harvesting possible. The club is by no means exclusive. Kerosene, gasoline, and other newfangled contraptions are welcome. Thanks to this old gas-powered hit-and-miss engine, expectant faces get a taste of homemade ice cream. But steam is the real attraction here, and little is allowed to escape. At quitting time, the case pulls up to a big metal steamer. One quick connection, and in 15 minutes, a bushel of corn on the cob, so hot you'll need gloves to eat it. A tasty reward for any hardworking young future farmer.
I think we're fortunate in that we have quite a few younger members in our branch here in our club that come and display tractors. If you look around, you'll see some of the younger kids that are interested in what we're doing.
Safety is important at any threshing bee. State inspectors use ultrasound to check the engines each year.
The next step that we'll do is, now this is where it starts to get a little bit trickier. So using your fingertips, you're gonna just give it a little bit of pressure on the outside, and then as you start to feel it move, you're gonna move your hands up with it.
Okay. It helps when the resident director is your teacher. In the fields of the Archie Bray Foundation, you'll find the Potter's Shrine, built by Helena artist Robert Harrison. It contains a bust of Archie Bray, done in 1952 by one of the founding resident artists, Rudy Audio, as well as pieces by other former resident artists. Next, we move from clay to paper, as old Montana postcards take the spotlight. The Robert Svoboda Picture Postcard Collection is not the largest postcard collection in the world, but it's believed to be the largest collection of postcards featuring one state. On the top floor of one of the houses along Officers Row at historic Fort Missoula, Northern Rockies Heritage Center board member Tate Jones reviews some of the thousands of postcards that were donated in 1998.
Postcards, the tourist postcards we're familiar with, kind of take off in the 20th century as people are starting to take motor trips more and want to send back shots of where they've been. We suddenly see these appear on the scene, and many of them are really quite creative and really stunning in their photography. Nice color one of Havers Main Street right here, taken in the 1900s. You could tell from the clothing. Robert Svoboda was a Montana native, Lewis grew up on a homestead near Lewistown and served in the Navy during World War II. And then he went on to put together a chain of banks in California. He had a very strong interest in Montana history and wanted to put together a substantial archive on it. He did well enough for himself, and he had time to kind of build on his mother's collection. And I think from that point on, it just kind of, as all good collections do, they just snowballed. It's about 20,000 in all were donated to the Heritage Center, to the Northern Rockies Heritage Center here at Fort Missoula.
To me, postcards are very important for the historic fabric of saving history, because you're seeing views that are gone. He found cards from towns that are no longer in existence, and obviously in Montana there were a lot of ghost towns, so a lot of the cards were canceled in towns that no longer exist.
There's a great deal of pride in public works. Railroad stations, post offices, commercial districts, public improvements, things like that. People are apparently very interested in this. And then later, as we get into the further into the 20th century, the 50s and 60s and forward, we see a lot of emphasis on natural scenes of natural beauty, Glacier, Yellowstone Park, waterfalls, mountains. It's kind of interesting to see these as kind of the discovery of America by Americans as they begin to kind of move out of their rural shell by the early 20th century. They can see there's other parts of the country, and they're able to undertake a more national outlook as to what's going on.
It's a very interesting collectible, I should say, because you feel like you're touching these people, so to speak.
Well, the sheer volume of it gives you a record of 20th century Montana from the Progressive era up into the 1970s is where the collection tapers off to an extent. It gives you a pictorial record of the state's development, the maturing of Montana, the industrialization of the state, its discovery as a tourist locale, and so forth. And you can get clues to all this from looking at the Swoboda postcard collection.
The Conda Copper Manufacturing Complex.
The Heritage Center continues to catalog and appraise the thousands of postcards. A number of postcards have been enlarged and are on display at Heritage Hall at Fort Missoula. I've gotten about as far as I'm going to go on my piece here at the Archie Bray. Thanks, Steve, for helping me out. What do you think?
For a first time, you did a great job. I'm very impressed.
What brought you to the Archie Bray?
I'd heard so many great things about the Archie Bray Foundation, but had never been this far west. But when I came out here, I just fell in love with the Bray and its mission, and also Montana. I mean, Montana's just a beautiful state.
Is this setting particularly inspiring?
The environment here is very unique in that you're always surrounded by other artists, other creative people, and it definitely affects you. I think to be involved with the Bray just as an organization, I feel really pretty honored to be part of that.
The Archie Bray is very much open to the Helena community as well, and one of the aspects are the classes that you offer?
We have an education program where we offer classes for the local Helena community. We also run workshops where we bring in visiting artists from all over the world. But I think that the Bray has a real focus on this community because it's been so supportive over the years. You know, the Bray wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the incredible support of the community of Helena.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate the lesson and you spending time with us today.
It's been a pleasure.
In our final story, we're going to Harlowton. Better yet, we're going to the movies. It's a remake of the classic Western True Grit, the story of a grizzled U.S. Marshal and a plucky young girl. And as you'll see, at the Harlow Theater, youthful determination isn't limited just to the big screen.
To the flag of the United States of America.
For most teenagers, preparing for college begins in high school. It's the same for these students in Harlowton. But Harlowton High has one after-school project that helps its students save for college and serve their community.
Liberty and justice for all.
It's movie night in Harlowton, and every employee at the Harlow Theater has a stake in the business.
Hello, Sam. Preferred seating, please.
At the ticket window, Samantha knows the importance of a good first impression.
We are a community theater, so we do depend on the community returning to our theater.
Who wouldn't return with these prices? A family of 4 gets in for just $13. Once inside, the hospitality continues with ticket taker Paige.
Enjoy the show, Kevin.
Daniel and Nick know how a bag of fresh, affordably priced popcorn can enhance any evening.
We say we have the best popcorn in the world, mainly because of the extra love that we put into it.
Not to mention real melted butter. It's easy to miss Alex, even though she has tonight's critical job. She'll be running the show up in the projection booth.
Working with the machines, there's a lot of pressure with everyone watching and knowing that if you make a mistake, it's kind of on your shoulders.
At the till, Kayla's got a smile for everyone, along with their correct change. Nolan's stocking candy, and Stephen, tonight's trainee, is watching and learning. These teens are the Harlow Theater. They own it, they operate it, they run the show.
We weren't always like this.
No one on the crew was even born when tough times fell on this central Montana town. That's when the railroad pulled out and people moved off. Fire gutted one theater and the Harlow was falling apart. It was hard to find something worthwhile to do and easy to get into trouble. So Gene and Dave Wallace applied for and received a school-to-work grant designed to keep kids busy by supporting a business of their choice. Students could pick any enterprise. What they wanted to do was get the old theater running again and do it for their community.
It was their idea, and Dave and I just supported their dream, helped them out.
The town council agreed to sell the sagging building for $1. Students spent a summer scraping, painting, and mastering the old carbon arc projectors. By August, the neon once again blazed at the Harlow.
When we first started, the kids were picking movies they wanted to see, and then they learned very quickly which ones bring in money and which ones don't.
Family movies are where it's at because we can get the kids, their families, everybody.
By the same token, they've learned that the concession stand can't always include their favorites.
Gum.
Junior mints.
I think, yeah, junior mints are the worst.
They get stuck to
They
the
melt
floor
the
and
floor.
they don't come off.
If there's anything that really has caused success in this, it is that the kids have a sense of ownership.
Contributions from local businesses and the Bear Family Trust have led to major renovations, including new seats and a ceiling.
Oh, that's so nice.
Ticket sales and concessions take care of expenses. Profits go into a college scholarship. Each student is expected to volunteer 25 hours per year. After that, they're paid. But that money also goes into a scholarship, money they collect once they graduate and head to college.
If they don't start out the best and the brightest, they end up the best and the brightest.
Dave thought the theater project should teach more than just business. He stressed the importance of customer skills, communication, teamwork, and above all, a sense of humor. In an effort to draw a larger audience to Sunday matinees, he created the Customer Dance. In 2010, Dave passed away, but not before mentoring more than 600 students and awarding around $40,000 in scholarship money. Without him, Jean wasn't sure she would continue with the project.
I actually went to turn in my resignation, said that I was going to do it and turn it over, but I couldn't do it. I'm too invested in the kids. So at least one more year I had to do it, and now I'm back in it again, so I stay in because I love it too.
On Sundays, after the Customer Dance and after the matinee, the theater committee meets to discuss current business and future bookings.
Thank you to Miss Graves. She she made that up for us. It's all the...
Cody and Virginia just volunteered to write a thank you letter to high school art teacher Lynn Graves. Lynn recently created a poster which hangs in the lobby. It's a collage showcasing each class that has been a part of the theater project. It's a work in progress. It's easy to spot Dave. He's usually in the center of each photo, surrounded by the students he was so proud of. Patrons file past the poster, eager to take their seats and watch Hollywood celebrities. But the real stars at the Harlow Theater are still out in the lobby. And we hope you've enjoyed watching our show today. We'd like to thank the staff and artists here at the Archie Bray Foundation in Helena, especially resident artist director Stephen Young Lee and Director of Programs and Communication Rachel Hicks. The Archie Bray has a large gallery where works by resident artists and others are sold. The Archie Bray Foundation is open to the public every day during daylight hours. There's a self-guided walking tour map to help you find your way around the grounds. We hope that your letters and emails find their way to us. It's where we get some of our best story ideas, including today's stop at the community dance in Grass Range. Send your ideas to the Backroads of Montana, the University of Montana, Missoula, Montana 59812, or visit us at montanapbs.org. You can also watch previous episodes of Backroads at the website or pick up a copy at your local city county library. As long as you keep watching, we'll keep covering the Backroads of Montana. I'm William Marcus. See you next time.
Backroads of Montana is made possible with production support from the Greater Montana Foundation, encouraging communication on issues, trends, and values of importance to Montanans. The Montana Office of Tourism at visitmt.com. And the University of Montana.
Montana is my home. From mountain peaks to prairie lands, the places I have known. And I'm bound to ramble, yes, I'm bound to roam. And when I'm in off the road now, boys, Montana is my home. Coming in off the road now, boys, you know I'm heading home.